Morning, friends. It's lovely to be here with this very, very important topic that we have. As I was given it, the talk was to be on a superpower of non-attachment. You know, the promo people are always looking for those catchphrases that capture our attention and superpower. Don't we want to be superpower yogis? We all want to have a superpower. The Marvel movies have not been so popular for nothing. We all inside of us have this heroic self that wants to climb the mountain, do the big thing, be perfect, attain self-realization. And these look like heroic feats from where we are. But within us, there is the inner hero who keeps not settling for less. I love that Biraj found this Whispers poem, because as I was thinking about this topic, it's a little bit like we had a healing session yesterday with people learning and practicing the healing prayers of Ananda, of Yogananda's techniques, and helping people find a way to serve in that and doing that for one another and for the larger group here. Very inspiring, very deep, sincere, heroic souls in the room who really want to make something beyond themselves and help uplift others. Great motivation. But we were talking about, whenever there's an issue with people have healing required, illness, unwellness, discomfort on body, mind, or soul levels, or all of them, what do we want? We want a remedy, don't we? We want a quick remedy, ideally. Modern medicine, give me a pill and I'm done. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Many remedies we seek. So I was in the remedy consciousness of how healing prayers and vibratory healing of Yogananda helps eradicate disease on every level of our being, which is a great thing. And so I'm thinking in terms of remedies. So when I talk about the superpower of non-attachment, I think, okay, how is attachment a problem? I think it has caused some unwellness in many of our lives, some suffering. We are very happy when things are going well. We move into it and we get a little caught in it and a little attached to it being that way. And inevitably, it doesn't stay. Swamiji does a talk on contentment, which is the remedy that I'm getting to. And he says, how do you have contentment? That is really the remedy of all of life's ills, all of our reactions, our attachments. The single remedy, as it says in the Gita, the supreme virtue is contentment. If we can be relaxed and content, accept whatever's happening, and rest in the divine self within, to take our meditative consciousness out into the world, then we can be content. It's always there for us. Our soul is always content. It's these layers on the outside that is pushing us about. In the video on contentment, Swamiji said, how do you be content? Well, we live in a world of duality. Things are always going to change. If you resist it when they're bad and you cling to them when they're good, you're going to be tossed about. It's just going to be that way. So he said, remove yourself mentally from whatever's going on. Just remove yourself mentally. He said, don't go into it. Don't put yourself into it, meaning don't put your heart and your feelings and your hopes and your dreams, into something that inevitably is going to change, because nothing stays the same. Every up is followed by a down. Every down is followed by an up. That's the way of this world of duality. How do we get away from the ocean of suffering of the world of duality? That's the spiritual goal, isn't it? Get away from my ocean of suffering. So how do we build a practice of being able to choose contentment? Because contentment is of the soul. So we have to withdraw, Swami says, withdraw from the total engagement. Just withdraw, become less attached. It doesn't happen overnight. Now I'm not attached to anything. I'm a hero. Well, How do you get to be a hero? Little by little, I will be less attached. I'll be less reactive. I'll be less clinging. Make it a practice. And while we're here in Mumbai, we happen to land in one of the hotels that has some high floors. We're staying in one of the higher floors. So you look out, and I love this about Mumbai. You know, it's crowded, it's traffic, it's a lot of people pressed in smallish amount of space. Well, I'm getting there. It is what it is. I accept that. That there's traffic, that there's a lot of people, and that some of them are living in bad conditions. I have to learn to pretty much accept that most of the time. But I looked out, and this is also what I do in Mud Island. We live on the 15th floor there. I look out, and there are these birds just flying around like this. They're not bothered about anything. They're quite happy. Soaring above. Swami wrote a song called Channels about nature helping to teach us. The channels of nature are sent from Divine Mother, and we can tune into them and lean into those consciousness. And the one he says about birds sing of freedom as they soar lightly on the air. So may our hearts soar high above all curbs and care. So I look at those birds sometimes, and I was looking out over the city, and I thought, it seems so far away. I'm on the 31st floor. It seems so far away. All those worries of all those people are so small down there. It's not that big a deal. And there are the birds soaring, and there's the sky, and there's the openness of the sea, and there's this feeling of, oh, this is easy to be content just looking out at this. It's quiet, They have good acoustics in this particular accommodation. So it's very quiet. And I think that's contentment right there. Those moments when we realize what's happening down there in our lives, in the dream, the lila, the play of our lives, is not really real. It's small. When we get up high from the airplane, we see. So that's a perspective. If we can get our minds uplifted, can get ourselves relaxed away from being bound by the gravity of the earth. Jyotish used to say this, well, the earth has gravity. That's going to be there. Life has gravity. There's grave situations. We all have to live within that. But what we need to do is choose levity. Choose the light, choose lightness of spirit, choose positive frame of mind, choose superconscious solutions to problems instead of being mired in the midst of them. So the teachings have many ways for us to do this, and it always comes back to basically one thing. It's our consciousness. And what is the one single thing that makes our consciousness change the most? Meditation. Meditation. I have a good friend, Savichi. Some of you know her by her deep attunement with the subject of chakras. And I remember her giving a Sunday service. She was from the South, and she used to teach Sunday school. And she has a very charming way of being with people, very welcoming and kind of motherly, very humorous, and a very charming Southern accent. So she got up and she said, now I'm going to talk to you today about the spiritual path. And it's going to be a simple sermon because I don't really have that much to say about it. But I just know that if you meditate, said, and then if you meditate, and if you meditate, and if you meditate, and that was kind of, she'd do maybe one little sentence. If the world is giving you problems, what do? You meditate. If you're feeling unwell and you're unhappy, what do? You meditate. I have a good friend in Palo Alto who's a man of very, very few words, very great soul, helps with the Kriya ministry and many things. And, people, new students, well, what do you do about this? What do you do about that? What do you do? Well, he said, life can be pretty tough. You go along, things happen, people die, horrible things happen, and that's the world. It is. But then you have a good meditation. And it puts everything in perspective, because we're coming up to those higher floors of the building, of the world, and we're looking down on our problems, and we're not bound by them. So I went through a period of my life where there were challenges going on, and I was determined that I wasn't going to let them keep pulling me as they had been pulling me downward. So I thought, okay, what's my practice going to be? It's a little bit like, how do we practice to become heroes, divine heroes of non-attachment and divine heroes? We lift the little weights until we get the big muscles. Then we lift the bigger weights. And then maybe we graduate. We don't have to lift those kinds of weights anymore. But I decided I was going to consciously shift my energy in the moment. I was going to practice in whatever I was doing. So whenever was easier for me to practice when I was alone. So if I was washing the dishes, I would say to myself, now in this moment, I choose contentment. I'm going to be content washing the dishes. Something else would come along. I'm going to choose contentment, because we are fortunate. We know about meditation. We know what it feels like to be content. Nothing's bothering us when we have a good meditation, just after we've had a good meditation. Nothing bothers us. It's a good clue. Good clue. So we know it's there. And when we consciously say, I'm going to choose it, no matter what, God might test us and give us a what, or a bigger what, or even a bigger what. And if we say, okay, now I'm going to practice. I practiced when it was easy to be content, doing the dishes, easy to, when everything else is going fine. Now I have to draw on that contentment that I've been diving into and choose to bring myself in alignment with that consciousness of contentment. And more, it is possible. The gift of non-attachment, we'll go back to that, is we can be fluid and flexible. Life brings us one thing, okay, fine. Life brings us another thing, okay, fine. We can respond appropriately, like the image of the skier going down the big mountain. You need to turn the left, you need to turn the right, but you don't have to be nervous and tense and upset. You can just enjoy it a little more as you get into the flow of the energy of life. And we have a guru. We have a number of gurus who are working with us and through us. So when we attune ourselves in that relaxed state of acceptance, withdrawal from the drama of everybody and everything in our lives, and go deep inside, go up to the point between the eyebrows, lift our hearts, feel that peace, feel that joy, however God is filling us as we open our hearts to receive, then that becomes the choice we want. There's nothing here nearly so dear as that feeling that we get in the deep meditation. And bringing it into our daily lives helps us to stretch out that contentment, that joy, that seeing the world as a play. Yogananda used to take devotees to the movies, and there would be dramas. That's how movies sell. Here we are in Bollywood. There has to be a lot of dark and a lot of light, and creates the tension that makes people interested and sit on the edge of their seat and, be engaged and want to pay money to go to the movies. And that goes on and on and on. So it has to have a lot of, excitement and, will they make it? And heroes and villains. And Yogananda would sit in the movie theater with his devotees, and he'd say, you all see the screen up there and you think it's real, this story of the villain and the hero are all acting it out, and you're feeling, you're feeling good about the hero and you're feeling bad about the villain. That's where you are. He said, but me, when I come to the movies, I'm looking at the big beam that comes, the light that is shining up, used to shine up, now it's digital, of course, but used to shine up from the projection booth with just white light and then things in front of the white light that created the vision, the characters, everything that happened. So he also said, I used to close my eyes and go to the inner movie, Yogananda. So we're invited. We can be engaged in the movie and feel the upset all the time. Or when we choose, we can go look at the projection booth, God who's projecting the movie, look into the light of that, and we see it's all a dream, it's all a play, it's all a movie. It's not really who I am. It's not really real on the deepest level of truth. So let us together enjoy the movie in the light with less attachment, with more contentment and more joy.